Open up the champagne, pop. It's my house, come on, turn it up. Hear a knock on the door and the night begins. Cause we've done this before, so you come on in.
The topic of the day is it a correct way to be a parent, and how to deal with these emotional behavior kids, and do we believe the root cause of the violence by our youth and our community is due to bad parents?
Well, again, because I'm a developmental specialist, I look at development. And many times, parents, depending on the age, they're not developmentally mature.
So that's what you was talking about.
Yeah.
To raise a child.
Right.
Because mentally or developmentally, they may be at a stage in life where they don't understand the separation or what is needed.
What do you suggest about disciplining children?
It's really setting limits with the children. And children will live what they learn. So talking to these children and setting limits with children, and at every age you can set limits.
When I was in Baltimore, I worked at Truancy Court. You remember that? The kids were smarter than the parents.
Yes.
And
That's
then
how
they lost
manipulate 'em,
respect
too.
in the parents because they were smarter than the parents. So a lot of times you have kids developing better than the parents, and then you have a stagnation of respect. They don't agree with them, and they outsmart the parents, and the parents just give up because the kid is now can read better. The kid can't ask them to help them with the math
They're
homework.
embarrassed.
You can't. Yeah, they're embarrassed, so they kind of take a back seat. How do you help parents like that?
You let them know as long as they're paying the bills, he who holds the purse string rules that house. And if these children are not capable of taking care of themselves and feeding and clothing themselves, then that's where we have what we call discipline. We teach discipline. We teach these children to have restraints.
Do you think that we were taught to beat our children, and is that a real?
Learn behavior.
Is it learned behavior?
Learned behavior.
Is it a needed behavior?
And if a parent doesn't understand the developmental age or level of their child, many times they overreach. And so they do more harm than good.
So my question is,
And you brought out several points. One of them is that there are children that have maladaptive behaviors.
Yes.
There are children that have what we call,
break down
The ones
maladaptive.
you want to choke.
well, maladaptive behavior is the kind of behavior that does not fit the norm. These are children that, in spite of, as I heard,
Bad.
you do everything possible to bring them to a disciplined state. They don't follow those rules.
At all.
Right, and so it takes more of a corrective action with that type of behavior. You have children that are treatment resistant, and it doesn't matter what you do. Treatment
And
resistant.
their
What does
parents
that
are
mean?
also treatment.
Hold on.
Resistant.
Treatment resistance. What does that mean? I don't.
That means when you do interventions
Uh-huh.
with them, it doesn't work.
Oh.
And then you have those that are not governable. In other words, they're not going to follow your rules.
So every kid,
So-
do you believe every kid can be saved, or
No.
No.
no?
No.
Straight
No.
like that.
No.
In the ideal world.
And because of
That'd
that,
be great.
you
Well,
have
why
the
is
Ted Bundys.
Yeah.
It's called mens res in law.
Right.
Mens res is a criminal mind. There are just some people who have criminal minds. We need to encourage our children. We really need to encourage them and not call them names and say what they're not. Call them those names that you want to see them become. You know, empower these children to feel good about themselves. You know, and they need this. That we really need counsel. And we have shied away from psychologists and, you know, you need to go and get counsel like, oh, no, I'm not crazy. It doesn't mean that you're crazy. It means that right now you are at an emotional moment or a time in your life when you need that psychosocial support. And you need to get it. Because then it can bridge you over. And it doesn't matter how old you are. They think that just old people. It could be young people just like
Yeah.
yourself. You could have had what we call a situational crisis in your life that you were not able to combat.
Like
and
Orlando.
Yes.
like Orlando, like seeing their parent get killed. You know, just any type of major thing that that created a trauma in your life, and you are unable to move past it, you need help. You do not become aggressive. You do not retaliate. You do not go pick up a gun. You do not pick up a stick. You do not put poison in food. You don't do those things. You walk it out. You have to allow yourself to calm down. When you talk about development deals with maturation, okay? Maturity, making wise decisions, not thinking the way you used to think, understanding things in a different way. And what happens when these young girls get pregnant like that? You know, something happens. Their body changes. There's a whole new hormonal disposition that takes place. And at this point now, they are plunged from where they were supposed to be and continuing to grow now, and they did a leapfrog. So they missed that developmental period. It's gone.
Some people that are mothers and their daughters have kids, where do they get help from?
Who do you trust enough that you would like to emulate or be like, or you could go to for counsel? And believe it or not, it was not the parents in the homes. It was the teacher,
Yeah.
or it was the school nurse,
Guidance counselor.
or the guidance counselor.
Do you believe that bad parenting is leading to these kids and all this violence in our community?
I think because the parents are unable to parent or don't know how to parent these children, and we've already talked about not being able to set the kinds of limits with these young kids, especially boys. And I find it very difficult, as you know, yes, I've heard many young ladies say, oh, I don't need a man. I can raise my child by myself. You can raise a boy up to a certain point.
Yeah, no, you can't raise them.
And after that, they need a man. I'm sorry, they need a man because they will listen to another male before they listen to a woman. However, we're talking about mentorship. We're talking about role models. We're talking about preparing these young men to take on the role of a leader in the home.
Then as family members, we need to step in more and help that mother be a voice, because sometimes the mother don't know how. So as family members or cousins or God sisters, we need to take initiative to say, hey, you need help. I'm going to make this phone call for you because you don't know how.
Exactly.
And take these kids out that environment before it be detrimental to their death.